Hello again, friends and fiends, and welcome back to another Netflix horror fix. I'm Postpunk Pixie, and today we are looking at a film called Below. I wasn't expecting much out of this one, and it's actually not bad. I really quite enjoyed it. I wouldn't say it's a great film or anything like that, but no, I really enjoyed this one. At last, another enjoyable one. This is co-written by, among other people, Darren Aronofsky, i.e. the chap behind things like The Wrestler, Requiem for a Dream and Black Swan. And it's got a pretty good cast as well. Olivia Williams is in it, Jason Fleming's in it, various other people who I had a quick look at them because I recognised their faces and I'm like, okay, this guy. Nothing offensive in it, pretty well done. I like this one. This is a ghost story set on a World War II submarine, an American submarine, which is a setting for a ghost story that I've not seen before, and honestly, what a brilliant idea. We've had ghost stories in enclosed spaces before, of course. We've had, the classic haunted house, haunted cabins, haunted spaceships, but I don't think I've ever seen a haunted submarine. And what a brilliant idea. A submarine, especially during war, is such a claustrophobic, tense, uncomfortable space anyway, and it's sort of full of all the noises of the deep, and you're remote, you're away from everybody else, you're trapped with all these other people, you've been trapped with all these other people for a long while. Brilliant idea. The plot bases around the few survivors from a British war hospital ship type thing are picked up by the submarine. They have been attacked by something. They believe it's a German submarine, but nobody got to answer it. The American submarine that they get sort of let onto is under new management. The captain met an untimely death, and there's a lot of friction. They've been down there for a long while. Some of the guys are a little bit odd. What a great idea, honestly. I feel like I'm being extra nice to this one just because the idea is so good. The execution is solid. None of the actors are sort of distractingly unconvincing. There are a few points where they're trying to use sort of 1940s slang that does feel a little bit forced, but I think that's purely just down to sort of, how do you deliver some of these lines that have gone way out of usage, and they're sort of, American squaddy slang from the 1940s. I mean, how do you utter those lines? But apart from that, it's pretty good. It's beautifully lit, beautifully shot. Only downside, sort of visually, is there are a few CGI shots for the exterior of the submarine while it's underwater, which aren't very convincing and do kind of take you out of the moment sometimes. It would have been so much more effective if it was a model or even stock footage, honestly, but it is what it is. Yeah, so this one's pretty cool. Sort of haunting-wise, ghost-wise, you don't see very much of the ghost. It kind of reminds me, and this is a sort of odd combination of The Devil's Backbone and I can't remember. It's a sort of fades in. Actually, it's this weird sort of mixture of The Devil's Backbone and that one, the one episode of The Twilight Zone that everyone remembers, the one with William Shatner and the gremlin on the wing. just in the kind of way that the face of the ghost sort of appears in the portholes of the submarine, in a way that kind of reminds me of the gremlin peering in through the window at Shatner. Visually it looks a lot more sort of like the ghost from The Devil's Backbone, the Del Toro film, although not quite as sort of elaborate. You don't see very much of this ghost. Occasionally you hear it, and you hear a lot of the sort of clunking and whale song and things that you would hear down in the depths. There's some wonderfully tense sequences involving sort of sonar pings, and the ocean not feeling quite as big as it did before the war. You've got so many other submarines, basically a sort of cat and mouse game where everybody knows there's another submarine around. Where is it? Trying to hide from the enemy while at the same time trying to take down the enemy. So this sort of subterfuge type thing going on, and what a great idea. There's a part of me that kind of wishes it was slightly more spectacular, but for such a good idea, it's a shame that it's not really good. But no, this is perfectly serviceable, perfectly competent. I really quite enjoyed it. I was sitting there thinking, yeah, this is a good one. This makes a nice change from the last few, which were pretty awful. So I honestly don't have an awful lot to say about it, because one, I don't really want to spoil the plot, because as with any ghost stories, there's a bit of a mystery going on, and I don't want to sort of spoil too much of what's going on, because that's quite fun. There were some surprising reveals that happen quite nicely spaced throughout the film, so I don't really want to spoil any of those, in case anybody wants to check this one out, and I do recommend this one. There's nothing really terrible to talk about, to pick apart. There's a part of me that feels like, just after complaining so much about sort of the sociological worries of the last film we just looked at, The Believers, that this does not do well on the diversity front, but it's set on a 1940s submarine. They make a big deal about there being a woman there, and it's the 1940s American submarine. There's not going to be much diversity, this is a good film. I was impressed by this one. That's pretty much all I have to say, other than this one's fun. Next up, we're looking at a film called Beneath. We're getting a bit of a sort of subterranean theme going on in the last couple, haven't we? So that will be up fairly shortly. After that, there is going to be a little dip where I might not have quite so many videos uploaded quite so quickly. As you've probably seen the last week or so, they've been almost every day. Over the weekend, probably not. I'm going to be running around listening to bands and dancing in the dark late at night to various bands from all over Europe. So but I will see you very shortly for whatever Beneath is. Again, never heard of that one. So fingers crossed, and I will see you very shortly.